Hello everyone, welcome to another video. In today's video, I want to talk about a very important interview question and its answer. The question that an interview can ask is, how do you access your client's network? Or how do you access your client's data or applications? Or it can be, can you explain a little bit about your DevOps infrastructure? Okay, so it can be any of these questions. So I want to give you a real-time explanation of how you can actually explain this in an interview. Okay, so here I have taken an example of a service-based company. So when you join a service-based company, you get a company's laptop. Okay, as you can see in the diagram here, you get a company's laptop, and when you have joined a service-based company, you get to assigned a project, right? I mean, you are assigned a project. So within the project, there will be one or more clients. Okay, so from company's laptop, how do you access your client's network? You use a tool like VMware. VMware is a virtualization tool that can be used to create virtual machines or virtual desktops. So each user or each employee that joins a company, he or she will get its own virtual desktop machine. Okay, so from your company's laptop, you use VMware tool. So you have installed VMware tool on company's laptop and you connect to the VMware tool. Okay, within the tool, you access the client's main URL to access client's network. Okay, that you will get from the IT team of your company. Okay, so so how are you able to access this tool from your laptop? Because your laptop's IP has been allowed to access client's network already. Okay, so that is why you are able to connect to this. If you use any other laptop, I mean any of your home laptops to connect to this this VMware tool, I mean using the client's URL, you won't be able to access. Okay, so that has already been configured by the local IT team of your company. Okay, so from here you connect to the this client's network via VMware, and within VMware you have your own virtual desktop machine. Okay, so this is how you connect to the client's network, right? This is okay. Now within the virtual machine, how do you access your main applications that you use to work on? Okay, so how do you access that? You generally access it via an identity provider. Okay, just one more thing before that. So once you are logged into your virtual desktop machine, then within that machine you will have one client VPN tool installed as well. Okay, here I've taken an example of Zscaler. So Zscaler is one of the most famous VPN tools that is used by a lot of companies. So you will be connected to your client's VPN as well. Example Zscaler. Okay, once you are connected, then from there, from within your this virtual desktop, you open a browser. Okay, it can be any browser. Chrome generally is used. Okay, within that browser, you type in your company's URL. Okay, your company's URL to access the access the applications. Okay, so when you access this application, this main URL of your company. Okay, just one more thing, the URL that you use to connect to VMware will be different from this URL. Okay, so I mean this URL was to access your virtual desktop machine, and once you're logged into this virtual desktop machine, within that you get another URL to access company's applications or clients applications. Okay, it can be anything like this. So I've just given a very random example here. So for example, you are using a tool called Keycloak as your identity provider. Okay, I'll talk about this identity provider as well, but just understand that within this VDI machine, you get a URL to access your client's application. The URL could be something like this, and when you click on it, you get to see all these tiles of different applications, just like this. Okay, and then you can access all these applications which are assigned to your profile. in VDI. Okay, so this is how you access your client's data in network. Okay, and now let's talk about this question. How do you access client's AWS network and other applications? So as I mentioned, within the VDI, you have something called as identity provider or IDP configured. Okay, so identity provider is once again, there are different vendors available to configure identity provider. It is used to configure single sign-on for your applications, which means that all the applications will be accessed via a single platform. Okay, so you log in once, log in and authenticate once, and then from there you can access all the applications of the client. Okay, so via an identity provider based single sign-on setup in all the AWS accounts. Here I'm taking an example of AWS. Okay, but it can be for other applications also. But why I'm taking an example of AWS, because generally if you have AWS cloud infrastructure, then within AWS's IAM service, you have this option of identity provider that you can configure. Okay, I'm going to show you also on AWS Management Console. So just understand that within VDI, you configure this identity provider within one of your AWS's accounts. Okay, then you can configure single sign-on to be used for authenticating to all the applications. The different identity providers available in the market right now are Frontag, SecureAuth, Keycloak, CyberArk, and there are some more as well. Okay, so how this identity provider is able to authenticate, how you are able to you are able to log in and authenticate to AWS accounts via IDP using IAM roles. So when you configure any identity provider, you have to create one IAM role in AWS account, which you want to configure it with it. And from there, that IAM account will be integrated, okay, to be accessed from this identity provider only. Okay, so all I'm saying is any AWS account that you access will be integrated with an identity provider. Okay, then you will get a URL like this. And when you click on it, you get to see all the applications assigned to your main profile. So this is how it works in the real-time environment. Okay, now IAM roles, once again, it depends on your roles and responsibility. You can be a cloud administrator, you can be a developer, you can be a DevOps engineer. So all these different roles will have different permissions, of course, right? And a different access into the different AWS accounts, okay, that you're accessing via the IDP, identity provider. Okay, and also each of these other applications, that you're able to see, all these applications will also be configured with IDP, identity provider. And similarly, all the access will be configured within the identity provider admin console. Okay, and not everyone will have access to this, of course. Only a few people who can enable or disable some application access. So what I'm saying is, you use this identity provider to configure single sign-on for your applications. Okay, and all these different applications will be using the same identity provider. Okay, including AWS. Okay, so here I've just taken an example of AWS. Okay, so you get this type of URL to access your identity provider for your company. And when you do it, you see the application tiles like this. Okay, and if you click on, for example, if you click on AWS, then depending on how many different AWS accounts you have access to, you get to see this type of screen where you can select your role. Okay, so for example, in your client's AWS network, you have 3 different accounts. Okay, one for say a development, okay, one for staging and QA, and other one for production. So within this, you have 3 different accounts, and within that you have 2 different roles assigned to you. Okay, in each account. For example, in this account, you just have this one role assigned to your profile. In other account, you have these two roles assigned to your profile, and in production, you have these two roles assigned to your profile. So whatever roles have been whatever roles have been configured in your profile in the IDP tool. So all that you're going to see here, and you get to choose the role that you're looking for at that moment. Then you can click on sign in. Okay, and after you do that, you will also be using two-factor authentication always. Okay, so apart from the main password that you use to log into this particular URL, and when you click on any of these application tiles, then you have to use two-factor authentication, which means that you will have to install one authenticated application in your mobile and then enter the dynamic pin from there on the console of the application that you're trying to access. So this is how the authentication works. So always in an enterprise environment, you will have two-factor authentication configured. Okay, generally you will have your this mobile phone, which is used to install an authenticator app, and from there you enter the pin in your applications console, and then you are able to log in and authenticate yourself. So this is how you access your company's application and infrastructure. Okay, now then, within, for example, if I take an example of AWS again, within AWS, then you will have the different accounts, and within the account you will have different applications access. So for example, you are a DevOps engineer. In that case, you will have access to EKS clusters, ECS clusters. Whatever the cloud infrastructure your client has, you will have access to it. It also depends on your role. What you have joined the company as. So this is how you access your company's infrastructure from your laptop, your client's infrastructure rather. Okay, so how do you access your client's application? I hope this was clear to you. So this is how you can explain in the interview also. Okay, now let me just go to AWS Management Console and show you how Identity Provider looks like. Where it is exactly. So within your AWS account, it can be any account. Okay, so for example, you have 3 different AWS accounts, then you can have 3 different IDP configured in your client's AWS accounts. Okay, so within any AWS account, if you click on IAM, then on the left hand side you will see the option of identity provider. So this is where you configure any identity provider like this. And then you can add the provider, and once again it's a different thing to configure and install the identity provider. But I just wanted to give you a very high level overview of where you can use this identity provider is. So it's part of IAM service in AWS. So this is where you configure, you add the provider, and then you get this type of URL which you use to access all the other applications like this. Okay, so this is how you can explain in the interview also that this is how I access my client's applications. I hope it was clear to you. Any doubts, please reach out to me in the comment section. Alright guys, that's all I wanted to cover. If you liked my video, please hit the like button, share it with your friends and colleagues, and please do subscribe to my channel to help me motivate and create more videos that can be useful to you. Alright, bye for now, and I'll see you in the next one.